Most people are not stuck because they lack potential. They are stuck because they keep trying to build a new life on an old mind. Today, I want to speak about why your future cannot change if your thinking stays the same. And by the end of this podcast, I'm hoping to give you a simple framework you can actually use, not just to feel inspired for a minute, but interrupting patterns that keep pulling you back into the same emotions, the same reactions, and the same habits, and the same identity. Because here's the truth: you cannot become who God is calling you to become while you're staying loyal to the old version of you that was shaped by fear, disappointment, shame, survival, and insecurity. That may sound strong, but it's true. A lot of people are praying for a new season while still rehearsing an old story. They want peace, but they keep practicing anxiety. They want new confidence, but they keep agreeing with the insecurity. They want new discipline, but they keep identifying as someone who never follows through. They want new fruit, but they keep planting the same mental seeds. And eventually, we have to ask a hard question. Is my life being shaped by faith, or is it being shaped by the familiar fear? Because familiar does not mean fruitful. Familiar means repeated. And one of the most important things you can learn about transformation is this: your mind doesn't just reflect your life, your mind helps create the direction of your life. Romans 12:2 says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." That is not just a spiritual statement. That is formation statement. Transformation isn't random. Transformation is a process, and that process begins in the mind. Your thoughts become patterns. Your patterns become habits. Your habits become evidence. And over time, the evidence becomes your identity. This is why you can desire change, but still feel pulled back into an old version of yourself. It's not because you're weak. It's because you're wired. Here's the good news. If you've been wired by repetition, you can be rewired by renewal. That's where the salt and light framework comes in. Reveal, reset, renew, restore. Those are not just pretty words or alliteration. It's a process. First, reveal. You cannot heal what you refuse to see. You cannot renew a thought pattern you will not name. You cannot keep calling something just, it's my personality, when it's really just a survival pattern. Some of us have lived so long inside our own reactions that we've stopped questioning them. We say, I'm just anxious. I'm a procrastinator. I'm just not disciplined. I'm bad with money. I'm not confident. I'm just easily overwhelmed. I'm just this way. But that's not who you are. What if it's just who you practiced? What if it's just a mental routine your mind has learned to take on because at some point it felt safer, easier, and more familiar? Reveal means stop living on autopilot. We begin to ask, what am I believing? Not just what am I feeling right now? What am I doing? What am I believing? Because behavior flows from identity, and identity is shaped by what we agree with so long enough that we stopped questioning it. Let me give you a simple example. You say you want to become more consistent, let's say. You want to exercise, you want to write, you want to pray, you want to build a business, you want to stop reacting emotionally, you want to show up differently. But underneath the behavior, there are many beliefs, such as like, I'm not going to stick with anything. I always fall off. I'm always behind. People are just way better at this than me. It's way too late for me. I don't have what it takes. And if that belief is running in the background of your behavior will just behave, follow it. Reveal matters. We need to look at things. You can't defeat what you keep disguising. The second step is reset. Reset is the interruption. It's the moment you stop letting the old thought have the microphone. This is where you take every thought captive. Not every thought deserves your agreement. Not every feeling deserves leadership. Not every belief deserves a seat at the table. Some thoughts show up like facts, but they're actually fears with just a loud voice. A thought can be wrong. A feeling can be real and still not be your ruler. A memory can be painful and not be your master. Reset means pause long enough to separate how I feel from what is true. Because if I don't create space between the trigger and the response, it will keep letting those old wounds make my new decisions. And that's where many people lose their future. Not because they don't want better, but because they have pressure on them and then the old mind takes over. The old reactions, the old defense, the old excuses, the old shutdowns, the old fear, the old comfort patterns. And we just call it's a bad day. But sometimes it's not just a bad day. Sometimes it's an old identity trying to stay in charge. Reset sounds like this. Wait, what is actually happening here? What am I believing right now? Is this thought from fear or from faith? Is it aligned with who I'm becoming? Is it behavior reinforcing the old me or the forming the new me? That's the reset. Not shame, not panic, not perfection, just interruption. Because a thought interrupted can become a life redirected. The third step is renew. Renewal is not just thinking positive. Let me be clear about that. It's not just pretending everything is fine. This is not putting a Bible verse on top of unhealed wounds and calling it transformation. Renewal is deeper than positive thinking. Renewal is replacing a lie with truth repeatedly, intentionally, and consistently until your mind learns a new path. You don't just renew your mind one time and it's done and become a different person. Renewal is practiced. Renewal is mind renewal every day. It's not walking it out once, it's walking it again and again and again. Every time you choose truth over the lie, you're forming a new path. Every time you choose obedience over impulse, you're forming a new path. Every time you choose prayer over panic, you're forming a new path. Every time you choose discipline over avoidance, you're forming a new path. Every time you choose a new identity over insecurity, you're forming a new path. This is why repetition matters. You can't rehearse fear all day and expect faith to be your first reflex. You can't constantly tell yourself you're behind, inadequate, rejected, overwhelmed, and wonder why you feel stuck. Your mind is listening. Your body is listening. Your habits are listening. Your future is being formed by what you repeatedly agree with. So renewal asks, what truth am I going to practice? Not just what truth do I currently know? What truth am I going to practice? There's a difference. Many people know scripture, but they still practice fear. They know they're loved, but they practice rejection of themselves. They know that God is faithful, but they practice controlling things. They know that they're called, but they practice hiding and shrinking. They know that they're forgiven, but they practice shame. Renewal means truth. It's way beyond how we just think. It's how we respond. It's how we decide. It's how we live. The fourth step is restore. Restoration is when life starts to reflect the identity that God is building inside of you. This is where the fruit starts showing up in real life. Not just what you say and believe, it's how you live, how you respond differently, how you recover faster, how you stop spiraling. You stop needing the same approval, stop partnering with the same lies. You stop sabotaging one thing that you've prayed for after another. That's restoration, not perfection. It's alignment. So alignment's powerful. It's when your thoughts, beliefs, habits, and identity start moving in the same direction, not fighting each other. Some of us are exhausted because internally we're divided. Our mouth says faith, but our mind rehearses fear. Our goals say discipline, but our habits say avoidance. Our prayers say trust, but our calendar stays in control. Our calling is courage, but we stay hiding. The invitation is not to shame ourselves. The invitation is to come into alignment, reveal what is there, reset the old patterns, renew your mind with truth, restore your life through alignment. That's the process. And here's where I want to challenge you. Stop asking God for a new future while you refuse to release the old mental framework that cannot sustain it. Because your future you're praying for requires a mind that you have not yet practiced. The peace you want requires a different mental habit. The confidence you want requires a different agreement. The discipline you want requires a different identity. The relationships you want require different reactions. Your calling requires a different level of surrender. The life you want cannot be built on broken thoughts. Here's the question for you today. What old thought are you still letting shape your future? Is it, I'm not enough? Is it, I always mess things up? Is it, it's way too late? Is it, I can't change? Is it, I'm too far behind? Is it, this is just how I am? Because that last one is dangerous. This is just who I am becomes a prison sentence. When spoken over something God actually wants to renew. You are not required to stay loyal to an old version of yourself just because it's familiar. You're not required to keep repeating the patterns that you've repeated for years. You're not required to keep agreeing with a lie just because it's so loud. You can interrupt it. You can renew your mind. You can practice truth. You can become someone whose life reflects God working in you. So today, do one thing. Name the old thought. Don't make it complicated. Just write it down. The old thought I keep agreeing with is fill in the blank. Put a truth beside it. The truth I'm choosing to practice instead is not just believe it, practice it. Because transformation is not just what you believe in quiet moments. Transformation is what you practice when there's pressure on you. That's where the new future really comes out, and not in hype, not in wishful thinking, not in waiting for the perfect moment. It begins when the old mind no longer gets to lead. So let me say it one more time. You cannot create a new future with an old mind. But through new renewal, through truth, surrender through repetition, and through grace of God, you can have the courage to practice a new way and become aligned with who God has already called you to be. Reveal, reset, renew, restore. That's the work. And that's where freedom begins. I'll see you in the next podcast.